to tear down a Boy Scout hut as they move forward with plans to build a park.
A little background for you. In 1942, a city ordinance allowed the Boy Scout troop to build a hut on city land, but it was with the understanding that if the city wished to use that lot for a different reason, the building would be removed. Now that time has come, and as our Carrie Beal found out, not everyone is happy with that proposed change.
Yeah, 1958. That's the oldest one. Well, the Scout Hut's been here for 72 years. It's been a part of the community way longer than I've been on this planet.
It's a place where hundreds of Boy Scouts have moved up the ranks. Despite the agreement from the 40s, Scout leaders argue the building is about so much more.
We're building character for these boys to become our future leaders, whether it be a mayor, president, or any government officials.
But the City of Patterson wants to tear down or move the hut to make room for a park.
What we have now is a very small, dim, outdated equipment for children. It's not very appealing.
The problem? The Boy Scouts are a private entity.
If we redo the park in its entirety and the Boy Scouts are still there, which we have no problem with as long as it's legal, what is it if someone else comes in and asks and say, hey, can I do this?
The city worries other private entities will think it's not fair.
The only thing I'd really like to say to the council people is to think long and hard on this decision y'all making. This is not for me. It's not for you. It's not for any of the adults here. It's for the boys.
In Patterson, Carrie Beal, KTC TV3.
And the City of Patterson will discuss moving that Boy Scout hut tomorrow at their council meeting. It gets started at 6 o'clock.
Well, that time of year is upon us. Today is the official start to hurricane season, and with that, a reminder from Governor Jindal to get prepared now. This weekend, many families did just that, taking advantage of the tax-free weekend. A list of hurricane supplies and evacuation information can be found on the state's website, getagameplan.org. But before you jump into hurricane season, we're not talking about that just yet, thank goodness. Rob, a beautiful day out there today.
Yeah, great way to start the season, but a good time to get prepared. Get your hurricane kit right now so you don't have to rush to get it in case storms don't come this month, come in July, August, or especially in prime time as we head into September. And today, as we take a look at Power Doppler HD, finally a day with fewer showers and thunder showers, just isolated activity over southeastern portions of the state. We do have a pop-up shower showing up across Iberia Parish and then another cell in St. Mary by Franklin. We'll take a closer look at these isolated cells, but generally quiet this evening. Fair skies later on, temperatures in the 70s and comfortable humidity dipping down into the upper 60s by tomorrow morning. And tomorrow mostly sunny, continued warm, a high of about 87 or 88 degrees, and rain chances staying quite low, 10% or less late tomorrow afternoon. But with less clouds and less showers, eventually it's going to be getting hotter, and we have that in the 8-day forecast. We'll talk more about that and have the complete True View forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, Rob, thanks. Next tonight, she was once the most wanted woman in Acadiana for child trafficking. Now she could soon be out of jail. Darnisha Martin was arrested in January of 2013 after being on the run for 2 months. Her arrest was in connection with a 2-month-long investigation cracking down on illegal weapons and also sex crimes. The child trafficking charges, though, were dismissed today, and she was sentenced to 2 years for promoting prostitution. Her accomplice, Alcobi LaSalle, turned himself in early on in the investigation. He'll get the same plea deal, and both will get credit for time served.
In Iberia Parish, deputies are looking for the person who shot 2 others during a home invasion last night. Just after midnight, deputies say someone broke into a home in the 600 block of Emery Lewis Street in New Iberia. The suspect shot a woman in the face and shoulder, a man in the hip. Both are expected to be okay. Funeral arrangements are now in place for the Lafayette man who drowned in Lake Arthur last week. Keithan Duga and Keelan Lambert were both pronounced dead on Memorial Day. Duga's family says the funeral is set for 11 o'clock Thursday at Immaculate Heart of Mary Church.
The Opelousas Police Department with a reminder tonight about the city's curfew. Those 17 and under have to be inside by 11 o'clock during the week and by midnight on the weekends. Police say crimes committed by juveniles do increase during the summer months, and most of them are committed after curfew. The maximum fine for curfew violations is $300, and police say the parents will also face charges if their child is found out past curfew. The State Office of Alcohol and Tobacco is promising a crackdown on underage alcohol sales. For the third year in a row, agents will step up the number of statewide checks during the summer months. Along with compliance checks, agents will offer educational seminars to businesses across the state. And the crackdown will start this week and run through August.
Well, applicants are now waiting to hear whether or not they'll be working for the St. Landry Parish school system. There was a teacher job fair today. The board is looking for certified teachers in all categories, elementary, middle, and high school grade levels.
Every hero has a story, and Escape the Ordinary are this year's themes of the summer reading program in St. Mary Parish. The summer program started today with registration, and it was also the first day to check out books that will count toward what's being called summer reading minutes.
Well, one library manager says the program helps students get AR points and keeps them from getting out of the habit of reading for when they go back to school.
A lot of these kids have to work on AR points when they go back to school, and this reading really puts them in that mode where when they go back to school, they'll still be reading.
Well, Lafayette General Health and Abram Kaplan Memorial Hospital are now one. Lafayette General signed a multi-year lease for the facility effective today. Hospital officials say recent changes in health care and how it's delivered and budget constraints have made it difficult for community hospitals to survive. Kaplan Memorial says the new relationship will help deliver more cost-effective and efficient health care in that area.
Right now, Highway 671 at the Jeanerette Bridge is closed for the next 3 months. The bridge will be closed while crews work on mechanical and structural repairs. And as always, detour routes will be posted.
And still ahead here at 6, Tom Benson in court for his medical competency trial. We'll tell you about that. But Rob's back with a full look at his forecast. Stay with us.
From the KATC Weather Lab, here's Rob. From the KATC Weather Lab, here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. Well, finally a new month. That means, well, at least today, a drier pattern. This is the way to start off the month of June. Temperatures in check, but they're going to be getting more uncomfortable as the week wears on. High pressure building across the region, so rain chances down at least through Friday, perhaps Saturday as well. And that's the good news. So let's take a look at Power Doppler HD. We still have a couple of renegade showers showing up across southeastern Louisiana and coastal portions of Acadiana for the most part along the coast. A little bit farther inland, we're still seeing an isolated shower showing up just east of the Lauraville Highway area, east of Lauraville, working its way out into the basin. Another cell that is beginning to weaken, and this is typical when we see a drier atmosphere atmosphere. The showers last as long as we have some daytime heating, but soon as we lose some of that heating around 6, 7 o'clock, the showers begin to weaken. But still a couple of heavy downpours just northwest of Franklin right now, with sprinkly light rains over toward Irish Bend, a few sprinkles around the beautiful Verdonville area as well in St. Mary Parish. Now, as we open it on up and take a look at some about what we're looking at with respect to wind particles, and this is showing us the direction of the surface winds. They're coming out of the northwest to the north and west, mostly to the west-northwest I-10 corridor, and you can see a little bit of a sea breeze front with light southerly winds right along the immediate coastal parishes. But the good news is the northwest and eventually north winds are going to win, and that means drier air will continue to work its way into the region in the wake of that upper level low that continues to pull out, producing all the wet weather now east of areas that are so inundated by precipitation. Texas, Oklahoma still having some flood warnings in around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then much of eastern Oklahoma, northwestern Arkansas, where water levels are still high, but at least coming down. And we have several days to dry out for sure as drier air continues to come in the wake of that upper level system. You can see that right there in that deep plume of tropical moisture now off to the east of Acadiana proper. And we're going to see high pressure building over the next several days, so rain chances staying down. As for the tropics on this first day of hurricane season, this is the way we like to see it. Busy on the Pacific side, and that's allowing for increased winds across the Caribbean and parts of the Gulf of Mexico. And that kind of signals what El Nino years tend to look like, but sometimes we get activity that builds north of those increased winds, so that's what we'll be looking ahead down the road. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, we have a tropical storm, Blanca. This is going to become a hurricane and perhaps another major hurricane. Meanwhile, we're looking at another major hurricane, Andres, moving out here in the open Pacific, and a very good-looking photogenic hurricane here. Was a Cat 4 yesterday with 140-mile-per-hour winds. Today, 125-mile-per-hour winds. Now, since it's the first day of hurricane season, what kind of activity can we expect in June? Well, this is 100 years worth of data plotted up on our weather system, and you can see the hot spots for Genesis, the western Gulf of Mexico, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and the northwestern Caribbean. So get a game plan right now, because we can tell you that the numbers will be lower than normal in the Atlantic, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have a strike close to home. So sooner or later, the statistics will catch up with us for sure. In the near term, though, looking good with fair skies overnight tonight through tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow, mostly sunny skies for the most part. Temperatures topping out in the mid to upper 80s tomorrow afternoon, and a few fair weather cumulus clouds like today, and another pleasant one tomorrow night with temperatures dipping down into the upper 60s once again. So a pretty good start to June. Full strawberry moon out there as well. 68 the low, and it's going to seem really nice and bright tonight thanks to the clear skies. 87 the high tomorrow. Beautiful day with mostly sunny skies and comfortable humidity. Rain chances staying 10% or less, and that's the way it goes for the rest of the week. But notice those daytime highs creeping upward, and eventually humidity coming back for the weekend. And as we go into the latter part of the weekend, we might see storms returning Sunday or Monday. But notice those highs getting into the hot zone, lower 90s before the week is done.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Still ahead right here on the news at 6. We head to New Orleans, where the competency trial begins for Saints and Pelicans owner Tom Benson. Plus, the trial for a former BP executive is just getting started. Both stories right after this. A Baton Rouge man accused of beating a 4-year-old girl in January is now facing charges in the case. Carl Robertson was arrested over the weekend for allegedly punching that girl in retaliation for a fight he had with the girl's mother. Police say the incident did happen sometime in late January, but it's still unclear why it took several months for Robertson to be charged.
Moving now to the Crescent City, a former BP executive is on trial. David Rainey pleaded not guilty. He's accused of making false statements about his calculations of the rate of oil flowing from that well. 11 people died in the oil rig explosion that spilled millions of gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Well, staying in New Orleans, Saints and Pelicans owner Tom Benson's mental competency trial is underway. About a dozen witnesses are expected to testify, including the 3 doctors who evaluated Benson earlier this year. A request to make the trial open to the public was denied last week in order to shield Benson's medical privacy. However, another request to open the trial is still under review. And still ahead here at 6, tourism in Kaplan is picking up, all thanks to HBO. We'll tell you more at 6:20. And Claire has sports. Let's just say, oh baby, those Cajuns are red hot.
The streets of Kaplan are buzzing.
It's always interesting whenever Hollywood comes to town.
HBO production.
Well, it's a small city in southern Vermilion Parish. Kaplan will be featured in a TV series.
Yeah, HBO production crews are at the Sunnyside Motel this week filming scenes for a new show called The Quarry. Micah Hatfield takes us on set.
The streets of Kaplan are buzzing.
It's always interesting whenever Hollywood comes to town.
HBO Productions started filming a series called The Quarry, airing in February of 2016 at the Sunnyside Motel.
This one is set like in the 1970s and centers around a Vietnam vet. So, you know, I guess that's why they chose the Sunnyside, because it is an older motel that probably fits the bill.
The Hollywood film trucks lining the streets are attracting a crowd of local residents, many sitting on their front porches watching the production.
Right now they're doing the swimming pool part, and then at night they're gonna have shootouts and everything. They've been driving around these old cars right here.
Many are hoping that once the camera crews leave, the buzz from the streets will stay alive in Kaplan.
And later on, once the series comes out, they do have a lot of tourists who want to come see where things were filmed. So we're hoping once the series comes out, then people will flock to Kaplan to see where the filming took place and just get a chance to spend their money in Vermilion Parish.
In Kaplan, Micah Hatfield, KETC, TV3.
And the show has signed on for 8 episodes during its first season. As far as who's in the show, well, you can find a link to the cast list over on our website, ketc.com. And don't go too far. Sports is coming up next.
Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Sorry.
It's time for sports with KATC TV3's Claire Langlois.
It's Championship Monday around the nation. The field of 64 in the hunt for Omaha getting smaller and smaller with each passing inning. UL looking to stay in the hunt as they take on Rice this afternoon. Now the Cajuns one win away from the Super Regional during a season that was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Another freshman gets a start. Evan Guillory here, the strikeout in the second, 6 innings, 3 Ks, 0 walks, and only 6 hits and 2 earned runs for the freshman. And the regional Cajuns lead in the first, top of the 4th. Tyler Girard goes back on in the middle. Chopper scores Stephen Trosclair. Next frame, more damage. 2-0. Evan Powell, the tournament's most outstanding player, powers one to the gap, plates a pair. Cajuns race out to a 4-0 lead through 4.5. Gut check time in the 7th, though, now 4-2. Freshman Dylan Moore comes into work, a bases loaded jam. The single saves record holder does the job, retires the next 3 Owl batters. Cajuns get an insurance run an inning later, move on to the 9th. One more weekend for the Cajuns. Dylan gets the strikeout to end it. 5-2 final, and our Travis has more from the Cajuns in Houston.
We did a lot with that team with older guys, but to do it with these guys means a lot.
When the 2015 campaign began, all the talk centered on coming out of the shadows of last year's historic team. With 9 players gone to the major leagues, there was very little hope outside the clubhouse that this team would even be a postseason squad. But here we are 1 year later, the Ragin' Cajuns again, 2 wins away from Omaha. Those seniors that refused to make it a rebuilding year came through when it mattered most this weekend. Greg Davis and Evan Powell came up huge Friday against Rice. Dylan Butler clutch in the final frame against Houston. Then, of course, the whole crop got in the act in the regional championship game today. While their postseason run may seem improbable to some, just don't tell it to these seniors.
We're not surprised at what's going on right now because that's what we worked for. We got so far last year and we wanted to get back there and we knew what we needed to do to get there.
It's hard for people outside of us to see the goal that we had set in mind, but this has been the goal all along, and we've just accomplished every goal that we set forth to do.
Leadership and team chemistry can make a great team average or an average team great. And with this team leadership and this team chemistry, it's made an average team great.
In Houston, I'm Travis Webb, KATC TV3 Sports.
Now over in Baton Rouge, their regional also getting wrapped up today. The Tigers looking to wash the bad taste of last year's regional finish out of their mouths. Over to Alex Box we go. Jared Poche on the bump, top of the second. Poche freezes the Seahawks here. He goes 8 2/3 with 8 strikeouts in the game. Same inning, Corey Dix up to bat, grounds this one to Alex Bregman, spinning throw to first, gets the out, and there's your first Sports Center top 10 play of the game. Home half of look at that replay right there. Home half of the inning, man on second for Chris Chinea, line drive all the way into the corner. Run will come home easily. Chinea gets 2 standing up, and the Tigers are out on top. Very next batter, Jake Fraley's going to come to the plate. He's going to loop this one into center. That plates Chinea, and the Tigers jump out to a 2-0 lead. That's going to be it for runs for the Tigers. UNCW is going to try to get some back. They're threatening here. Long hit center. Stevenson on the run. Diving catch. Comes up, doubles him off at first. Absolutely amazing play. Sports Center top 10 for sure. And we get a UL LSU matchup for Super Regionals.
It's going to be a crazy week.
Super excited.
We're all done for 6, everybody.
See you at 10.
They're going to come get him.
She was once Louisiana's most wanted. Now she could be a free woman soon. More at 10.